G'day buddies, I am Jacaro Toro, and on this channel I focus on Australian Aboriginal languages, cultures, history, and so on. Now we are in the post-pandemic era. At least here in Europe there are no more restrictions. And as could be expected when people are out and about again, people are now getting sick all over the place. I have been sick for a week, and I mention this because I'm hoping that I'll be able to get through this video without starting to cough. We'll see how we go though. Yes, so did you know that there is an ongoing project where they are mapping names for directions in languages all over Australia? So directions like cardinal directions, compass points, northeast, south, and west. This has never been done before. It has never been mapped in all languages for which we have information all over Australia. However, already Normal Tindale was interested in this though, and he has 2 pages in his monumental work from 1974. Normal Tindale was an Australian anthropologist, and during a 50-year period he lived and stayed on and off with different Australian Aboriginal groups. So he had tried to map names for the cardinal directions in languages he had come in contact with. And on 2 pages in his 1974 work, he shows what they are called in a number of languages from different parts of Australia. Now, Tindale was an anthropologist, and his transcription conventions that he used when he transcribed words and phrases and so on, they leave a little bit to be desired. Nevertheless, there are interesting things that we can take away from this. If you study it closely, you can see, for example, that up here in this part of Australia, there is an area where a lot of languages have this word for north. So we have similar forms here: Gongari, Gongara, Gongari. By the way, I have to guess at the R's because it's not clear from Tindale's transcriptions whether the R's are the R's with the tip of the tongue pointing forward or the tip of the tongue pointing backwards. Anyway, perhaps this is not surprising that we find the same word for north in a number of languages, considering that these languages are neighboring or at least spoken in the same area, so being close to each other. However, we also find Kongari for east in the Gugu-Bera language, in this area somewhere around here. So in one language, this word means east. Some of the languages that have this word for north also have similar words for south. So Jiwari, Jibar, and Jibar. Here I am quite sure that this should be a trill, because when R occurs at the end of words in Aboriginal languages, it is usually the trill, that occurs there. And some of these languages here also have Goa and Goa for west, except for in one language where Goa means south. Or was it two languages? Yes, two languages, Tagalog and one dialect of Iding, namely the Wanjoro dialect. Yes, so in a smallish area here, we find these trends. If we move to Western Australia, it is perhaps more interesting to note that this word is used for north in a few languages that are spread out, quite spread out. So Tindale mentions Ngaruma here in this area. These are the cardinal directions, the names for the cardinal directions in Ngara. And this would seem to be the same word, Yaboro. And perhaps this is not surprising. Ngara and Ngaruma were not neighboring here along the coast, but there was one language in between, so they were very close to each other. But Tindale lists three languages. Ngaruma, one language down here in this region, which would be Wajari, and one language down here, Kalamaya. Yes, he mentions that a few of the Western Desert dialects, the Western Desert language, spoken in a big number of dialects in Australia's Western Desert, hence the name. A few of the Western Desert dialects have Yulbari for south. And we might note that in the Pilbara region, where I have been to study the Ngara language, there is a tribe called Yulbarija, literally southerners. So those are the people that came out of the desert from the south. This word, Kagara, is used for east in languages spread out all over the western half of Australia. So the spread of this word is really impressive. We have languages from all the way up here to all the way down to the southern coast here. Kagara. And I have, as I said, the Ngara cardinal directions here. So for north we find Yaboro and Kanimbara. Both of those. This would seem to be a loan word, Iju, for east. For south we have Wororo. And for west, Wolyuro. Actually, if you study the names for cardinal directions in the Pilbara region here, you see interesting trends. So I think I will be back with more videos about cardinal directions, names for cardinal directions in the Pilbara region of Western Australia. But this will be all for today. So, see you later.